Just disappointed, you know. I thought we had so many opportunities over the last 3 games to win. But listen, you got to give Denver credit. They kept playing, they kept executing, they kept playing together. So right now, it's just disappointment, honestly, I thought you could just see the difference in the 2 teams. That team's been together. We haven't. And you could see it as the games went on. They just knew each other so well. I thought offensively, even though listen, we had great shots. Great shots all night. I still didn't think we trusted. We did at the beginning of the game. We did coming out of the 3rd quarter. We got a 7-point lead. But right when they put pressure on us, honestly, I just thought we didn't come through. I'm the coach, and I'll take any blame for it. But we didn't meet our expectations, clearly, because we had, in my opinion, we'd still be playing. Well, Game 7 is our make-miss game at the end of the day. I don't think it was those 2. I just think as a group, it wasn't just those 2, If you look at our shot quality, it was pretty dang good, but the ball didn't go in. And on those nights, you hoped that you can lean on your defense. And I just didn't think, even though numbers say we were a good defensive team, I just didn't think we ever realized that part of our game at all.
Here I go again, making another video on the Los Angeles Clippers. And it's not the fact that I'm absolutely obsessed with the Los Angeles Clippers. There's so much to talk about. Every time I'm ready to leave them alone, they keep coming back. And it's kind of irresponsible to neglect them. So I had to make this video on Doc Rivers' firing because, well, I wasn't able to make it the day it came out because I was fasting and I was kind of on an electronics fast as well, which kind of sucks because, well, in the 24 hours that I had to fast for religious reasons, well, the Miami Heat advanced to the NBA Finals. There was some good football news going on as well, not to mention that I missed some really good football games as well. But even on top of that, for some reason, Doc Rivers stepped down as head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. And I'm not sure if he stepped down or if he was fired. Apparently he was fired, so we'll just go with he's fired. But there was a lot to unpack here that I just can't help but bring into question. And again, I'm going to give you guys this disclaimer because I usually get a lot of hate comments from these types of videos. And I just want to say, this is a theory. I don't really have any proof of this whatsoever. It's up to you guys to tell me in the comment section down below if this theory makes sense, if it's tangible, or if it's absolutely ludicrous. But I'd rather have my theory out there for us to discuss something as opposed to us not discussing something at all. So before we get to the content, make sure you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe and turn on my notifications. And I'm also doing a giveaway for the PlayStation 5, which I should be able to announce the winner of this week. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Guys, we gotta open up this entire video with what Doc Rivers said after he got fired. Thank you, Clipper Nation, for allowing me to be your coach and for all your support in helping make this a winning franchise. When I took this job, my goals were to make this a winning basketball program, a free agent destination, and bring a championship to this organization. While I was able to accomplish most of my goals, I won't be able to see them all through. Though it was a disappointing end to our season, you are right there, and I know what this team is capable of accomplishing with your support. Thank you to all the players, coaches, and staff for helping us get here. Most importantly, thank you to the fans. We went through a lot, and I am grateful for my time here. Guys, there's a lot of legitimate reasons why Doc Rivers could have been fired. For one, he had a difficult time possibly managing egos and personalities, although I don't really see Kawhi Leonard as an individual with an ego. You have people like Patrick Beverley, Montrezl Harrell, and Paul George on one team. And that's before we get to Marcus Morris as well. It's going to be a huge headache managing all of that in your, like, what, 20th year as a head coach? Because at this point, you just expect people and players to respect you. But that's the problem for Doc Rivers. Apparently, the respect wasn't there when he needed it, and that's the reason why the Clippers crumbled. I've said this over and over and over again. The Clippers have probably the best team on paper in the entire NBA, and when you have a team like that, even though if it's on paper, you're expected to perform. And for that reason, Doc Rivers just wasn't able to perform. He had another stint where Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan was the core, and he also had JJ Redick as well. He wasn't able to convert then. And this time he had Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and Lou Williams and Patrick Beverley, and he wasn't able to win a championship now. And that could be the reason why he's out. And I'm sure there are other reasons why he's out. And I'm sure you guys could all take to the comment section down below and let me know why he's out. Now that we got the legitimate basketball reasons out of the way, let's discuss the drama behind the situation, because there's always some dramatic element that screws over a coach or a player whenever they're fired. And we gotta admit that, because it's very atypical for Kawhi Leonard to say he wants to play for Doc Rivers, and that's a huge reason why he's here, and for Doc Rivers to be out a year later when the team had zero continuity throughout the season at all. Now, I know the continuity excuse is getting old because, of course, Kawhi Leonard got traded to the Toronto Raptors, played under a first-year head coach, and was able to win a championship with players that he's never played before under a head coach that literally just came from the D-League a few years prior. So for that reason, I really think the continuity excuse is kind of old, but at the same time, the Clippers had a bunch of other issues throughout the season, including Lou Williams going to Magic City, Paul George's injury issues, and this question about whether load management being the effective means of managing both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, which, by the way, it wasn't. They got gassed in their final game against the Nuggets because of lack of conditioning, so that should tell you something. But of course, there's one thing that nobody is talking about, and it's driving me crazy. And again, this is just a theory. I could be 100% wrong, and I'm going to state that over and over and over again, and it's up to you guys to decide and figure it out. You guys remember that a year ago, when Paul George was traded to the Clippers, there was one thing that we barely talked about, that I was probably the only one to talk about. And that's the fact that when Paul George was in Indiana, he was dating Doc Rivers' daughter. And he cheated on Doc Rivers' daughter with a stripper named Daniela Rajic. Did I say her name? Rajic? I don't know. But regardless, I digress. He ends up knocking up that stripper and offering to pay her about $1 million to get an abortion. The stripper says no, and they end up together. Callie Rivers obviously splits up with Paul George as a result of this, and, well, I like to say that they both live happily ever after, but I can't help but feel like Paul George's demons are still getting to him. Like we saw it in the playoff series versus Seth Curry. Seth Curry was talking a bunch of mess about Paul George, and it was getting to him. He was not performing well in the Maverick series. And then in the second round, he had some better games. He was performing a little bit better, but at the same time, he was just not playing like Paul George would. And that's where all the pandemic P stuff came out. And I just couldn't help but wonder, because Paul George was also dropping hints saying that he was dealing with depression throughout the pandemic and he wasn't really feeling so like himself or feeling so good. And then on top of that, you have things like Damian Lillard's sister coming out and completely disrespecting his relationship with his brand new girlfriend, Daniela Rajic. And I can't really blame Paul George for being depressed. So I can't help but wonder, and this is the theory right here, whether Doc Rivers was fired due to basketball reasons. Because again, a year ago, Kawhi Leonard literally said that he was looking forward to playing with Doc Rivers. He was looking forward to being coached by Doc Rivers. This is a guy that's won championships before, or, well, championship. This is a guy that was able to take Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, and Kevin Garnett and win them a championship before. He won Coach of the Year before as well. So it remains to be seen whether it's his coaching that got him fired, or whether it's the fact that Paul George was just completely out of it throughout the entire playoffs, and as a result, the Clippers said it's best to cut ties with anything that could potentially trace back to Paul George's history with his head coach's daughter. And honestly, that makes a lot of sense to me because we didn't really see it affect Paul George until he got to the playoffs. At the end of the day, could you blame Doc Rivers for the poor season the Clippers had? Of course. I don't think all the blame falls solely on his shoulders. At the same time, we're in the middle of a pandemic. There's a huge civil issue that's at the forefront of everyone's mind. Lou Williams wasn't even a fan of restarting the season in the bubble. At the end of the day, the reason why Rivers got fired was because there was a lack of leadership and chemistry in the locker room. And what I suggested in this video could just be one of the things that caused Doc Rivers to lose his job. It's a deeper way of saying there was no leadership or chemistry inside that locker room. Maybe a brand new head coach that has no baggage whatsoever with one of the team's star players will affect them differently. But at least for this situation, I can't help but feel like, hey, we're firing Doc Rivers because of Paul George. Bear in mind that even though Paul George averaged only 21.5 points per game this season, he becomes a free agent at the end of next season, and the Clippers still gave up 5 first-round draft picks for him. So it's in their best interest to appease Paul George as much as they can. So yes, if my theory is correct, Paul George cheated on Doc Rivers' daughter and then got him fired, which sounds a little messed up, but hey, we don't really back away from the controversial here. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'm your boy, TheFlightMike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.